Tonight on Nubian Narrator News, a pop singer, a Tesla, and a body that's raising more questions than answers. This ain't tabloid fiction, this is police-confirmed reality. Tonight, we are not here for gossip. We are not here for whispers in some back alley of Stan Twitter. We are here for the blunt, jagged edge of reality. A teenage girl was found dead in the front trunk of a Tesla registered to rising singer David. Government name, David Anthony Burke. That is not a metaphor, that is not an exaggerated headline. That is fact, confirmed by police, time-stamped, and entered into the record of American tragedy. Now, let's lay down the receipts before the speculation, because you know how these stories go. First comes shock, then comes denial, then comes the mass-produced excuses from the PR machine, smoothed out with hashtags like, he would never, y'all don't know him, let the family grieve. But the receipts don't lie. September 8th, LAPD confirmed they discovered the body of Celeste Rivas Hernandez in the trunk, yes, the front trunk, of that Tesla. The car wasn't even parked, mind you. It had been abandoned, then towed, which is how this horrific discovery came about. Police sources confirmed the car was registered to Burke. Investigators then moved on the Hollywood Hills residence tied to him. Robbery Homicide Division. That's not the crew you call in for missing pets. That's the serious unit. As of now, police are framing this as a death investigation. Not yet homicide, not yet closed. The cause of death is waiting on the medical examiner. That is the cold-cut fact sheet. But facts have a nasty habit of dragging baggage with them, and in this case the baggage comes stamped with neon letters spelling suspicion. Because Celeste was not some distant fan. Reports show she was living with Burke. Both of them publicly posted about being in love. Both allegedly had matching tattoos, the same little shh symbol inked on their fingers, like a couple's mark. That's the type of imagery that doesn't age well when one half of the equation ends up dead in the other's vehicle. Now, before I continue, let me throw down the disclaimer, loud and clear. In my opinion, and I repeat, in my opinion, this is predatory. This is deviant behavior. When a grown man in the music industry is entangled with a teenager, living with her, allegedly branding their skin with the same tattoo, then that teenager is found lifeless in his car. You can call it bad optics if you want. I call it the very definition of perverse. Allegedly, but my spirit reads it plain, and here's the part that burns me. This isn't some one-off shock. This is part of a pattern. The music industry has been running for decades like a busted record on loop. Remember R. Kelly? Remember the Aaliyah marriage license that was waved away for years? Remember the countless tour buses and studio sessions where the line between mentorship and manipulation blurred until it snapped? The industry loves to play blind until there's a corpse on the table. But let's circle back to the receipts, because my opinion is my opinion. But you deserve the timeline. Police have not released a cause of death. No charges have been filed against Burke at this moment. He has reportedly cancelled tour dates. Brands are already whispering about suspensions. His social media has been scrubbed. Whole videos, whole posts gone dark, as if the delete button could erase the stain of reality. Vigils have been held for Celeste. Friends say she sometimes claimed to be 19. Fake IDs were allegedly in circulation. Whether she was older on paper or younger in truth, she was still found in his car, lifeless. That is the one fact you can't delete no matter how many posts disappear. And here's where the speculation tightens its grip. Internet detectives are building timelines out of thin air, pointing to every photo, every lyric, every deleted clip. Some of that is noise, but some of it is signal. The kind of signal you only hear when you stop letting celebrity status jam the frequency. Fans were warning about this dynamic months ago. The matching tattoos weren't a secret. The living together detail wasn't buried. People saw smoke, now there's fire, and we're supposed to act brand new. In my opinion, and I'll stress it again, this is the behavior of a pervert and a deviant, allegedly grooming, allegedly exploiting, allegedly hiding in plain sight. He sold heartbreak as art, and behind the scenes may have been manufacturing heartbreak in the most grotesque way imaginable. If that offends you, good. If it feels too harsh, Ask yourself why you want to protect the man with the record deal before you mourn the teenage girl with no tomorrow. Let me be clear, I am not the police, I am not the judge, I am not the jury, I am the commentator who refuses to choke on polite silence while another story of industry rot unfolds. The police owe us cause of death, they owe the family answers, and if charges are warranted, they owe justice. But until then, in my opinion, I see the pattern. I see the optics, and I call it what it looks like. Predation dressed up in designer hoodies, exploitation wrapped in melodies, deviance hiding behind playlists. Because one thing I know, innocent men don't end up with dead teenagers in their Teslas. Let's talk about age, because that's the line in the sand nobody wants to draw until it's too late. Police have said only this much on record: she was a teenager. That's the official language, cold and bureaucratic. But online, in forums, in posts from friends and alleged family members, the chatter sharpens. Celeste first went missing at 13, and she was only 14 when she was found dead in that Tesla trunk. She was barely into her teens. In my opinion, this is not just an unfortunate tragedy, it is an abomination. Because what is the difference between 13, 14 and 15? In this context, it is the difference between middle school and high school, between children's cartoons and learners' permits, between braces and barely grown wisdom teeth. And yet the industry, the fandom machine, it will bend over backwards to normalize the idea of a grown man in love with someone who should have been navigating Year 9 homework. She said she was 19, some friends claim, fake IDs, allegedly. And what does that tell us? That when you've got talent, clout, and the protective shield of celebrity, all the boundaries society swears it holds sacred become paper-thin, shredding under the slightest pressure. She was 13 when she disappeared, and dead at 14. Makes the optics revolting. It makes the optics scream predation. It makes the optics scream deviance. And in my opinion, that makes David's role in this story unforgivable, regardless of what the eventual autopsy says. Let's zoom out, because one name never exists in a vacuum. The music industry has been running this same foul script for decades. How many headlines do we need before we learn? Jerry Lee Lewis marrying a 13-year-old cousin, Elvis with Priscilla at 14, R. Kelly circling minors like a vulture for decades. Every time, the machine finds a way to protect the man, excuse the behavior, bury the victims in footnotes. We only cry foul once the headlines become too loud to ignore. And what about the fans? The fandom industrial complex is its own little cult. Already you've got defenders online saying, she lied about her age, he didn't know she wanted this. That's the sick part, flipping the blame back on a child. As if a 13 or 14-year-old has the power, the agency, the neurological development to navigate a relationship with a man in his 20s, signed to a label, armed with fame, and allegedly living with her under the guise of love. In my opinion, that's not love, that's grooming, that's manipulation, that's power imbalance dressed up as romance. Now let's talk about the tattoos. You've seen the pictures, both of them allegedly flashing the same shh tattoo on their fingers. Cute couple branding for Instagram likes, until you realize one of those fingers may have belonged to a child. If you're a grown man allegedly inking yourself in sync with someone still blowing out 14 candles, in my opinion, you're not a boyfriend. You're a pervert. You're a deviant. You're allegedly exploiting innocence and stamping your claim on it like property. And then comes the cover-up dance, post deleted, videos vanished, comments turned off, the digital scrub. It's the modern-day equivalent of burning letters in the fireplace. In my opinion, that's not the behavior of someone with nothing to hide. That's the behavior of someone sprinting ahead of the narrative, hoping the eraser runs faster than the truth. But the internet never forgets. Screenshots exist. The receipts live on. Here's the question that haunts me. How does a teenager, allegedly as young as 13, disappear into the household orbit of a rising music star without anybody in the industry raising a hand, without managers, producers, label reps, venue security, even Uber drivers saying, hey, isn't that a kid? Either everyone was blind or everyone chose to look away, and in my opinion, that makes them complicit. because predators don't thrive in isolation. They thrive in ecosystems that protect them, excuse them, worship them, ecosystems that call fans crazy for noticing the red flags, ecosystems that cash the checks while ignoring the bruises. Celeste was 13 when she went missing, and 14 when she was found dead. This isn't just a case of one man's deviance. This is a mirror held up to an industry that still hasn't cleaned its rot. And let me be very clear, the LAPD has yet to classify this death as homicide. The medical examiner has yet to declare a cause. No charges have been filed. Those are the facts. But in my opinion, when a dead teenager is discovered in the trunk of your car after living under your roof, after tattooing your finger in sync with hers, you don't need a jury to declare you a pervert. The optics alone sentence you. So while the official process drags on, the speculation will keep boiling. People will keep piecing together timelines, posts, screenshots. Some of it will be noise, but some of it will be the smoke leading to the fire. And in my opinion, the industry should be on notice. Because whether this case ends in charges or not, the narrative is set. Another young girl, allegedly barely a teenager, swallowed up by a machine that pretends it can't hear the screams until it's too late. And if you think this story is unique, think again. It's just the newest headline in a long, ugly scroll of receipts. So here we are. Another name in headlines, another young life extinguished, another community left asking how the hell we got here. Because make no mistake, this isn't just about David. This isn't just about Celeste. This is about the ecosystem that breeds these nightmares and then acts shocked when the receipts finally slap them across the face. Look around. The signs were there. Matching tattoos with a child. Living arrangements that scream boundary violation. Social posts hinting at love, only for a dead body to show up in a car trunk. And what did the industry do? The same thing it always does. Played dumb. The same blindness that allowed a 13-year-old Alia to be paraded around by a grown R. Kelly while executives cashed checks. The same cowardice that let Elvis pluck Priscilla out of childhood like fruit off a tree. The same collective shrug that lets predators masquerade as tortured geniuses, as misunderstood artists, as good guys with sad songs. In my opinion, and I will say it again, when you brand yourself with a child, when you house a teenager, when you surround yourself with whispers and delete posts as soon as police get involved, you are not innocent, you are not misunderstood, you are allegedly a predator, a pervert, a deviant hiding in plain sight. Allegedly, allegedly, allegedly. Now let's talk about the culture that feeds this. Fandom, celebrity worship, the cult of the sad boy, because that is the Mask Burke war, the wounded poet, the young outsider making heartbreak music for the youth. But when does heartbreak become exploitation? When does the voice of a generation turn into the silencer of a teenager who never lived to see adulthood? Fans are already splitting into camps. The defenders who scream, "She lied about her age, he didn't know," and the truth-tellers who see grooming when it's written in bold neon letters. In my opinion, this is the fandom sickness, protecting the famous while burying the powerless. And here's the thing, even if police never file a homicide charge, even if this gets filed under accidental or undetermined, that does not cleanse the optics. Because the facts don't go away. She was a teenager, she was missing at 13, she was only 14 at her death, she lived with him, they shared a tattoo, she ended up dead in his Tesla. Those facts stand, no matter what label the coroner eventually stamps on a form. This is where we need to zoom out beyond one case. We need to ask why this keeps happening. Why do young girls keep disappearing into the orbits of older, more powerful men? Why do we keep excusing it until the funerals? Why do industries built on talent and art so often rot from the inside out, with abuse, grooming, exploitation? Because at the end of the day, it isn't just one predator. It's the culture that protects him, the managers who look away, the labels who do the maths and decide a scandal is cheaper than accountability, the fans who silence whistleblowers because they don't want to lose their playlists. The silence is deafening, and in my opinion, it is complicit. Celeste, deserved more than this. She deserved a tomorrow. She deserved to grow up, to outlive the men who claimed to love her, to have a future bigger than a tragic headline. Instead, her name is tied forever to a death investigation, to a Tesla trunk, to a man whose career now sits on the edge of collapse. And the industry? It will pivot, find the next sad boy, the next exploitable face, the next story to sell, unless we, the audience, the public, the so-called consumers, start saying no, unless we start holding them accountable before the morgue gets involved. Because here's the truth, the music industry is not full of monsters, it is full of enablers who make space for monsters. Monsters thrive because ecosystems protect them. They are shielded by money, by silence, by the cult of celebrity, and the only way to break that cycle is to burn down the excuses, drag the receipts into the daylight, and call things by their name. If the industry wants to cry innocent until proven guilty, I remind you, innocent or guilty in the courtroom doesn't erase deviance in the court of public opinion, doesn't erase the imbalance of a teenager in the orbit of a grown man, doesn't erase the grotesque optics of love songs hiding alleged grooming. For Celeste's family, may the truth be delivered in full, unedited, and unspun. For the industry, may your silence finally come with consequences. For Burke himself, you can delete posts, but you can't delete the receipts. You can cancel shows, but you can't cancel the truth. In my opinion, this story is already written in neon letters. Another young life ended, another predator allegedly exposed, another chance for us to decide whether we care more about the playlist or the person. So no, I will not whisper, I will not say shh, like that matching tattoo. I will shout, I will point, I will call it out, because silence is how predators thrive, and silence is how victims die. Allegedly or not, in my opinion, this is deviance, this is perversion, this is rot, and until the industry cleans house, we will keep finding bodies in trunks, literal or metaphorical, tied to men who were too protected for too long. Celeste deserved tomorrow. Instead, she got a headline, and that, in my opinion, is the greatest crime of all.
Now today, we're learning more about the possible connection between singer David and a missing teenage girl found dead in the trunk of a Tesla owned by him. Good evening. You're watching LA Live News Tonight. I'm Christine Devine.
Thanks for joining us. I'm Laura Diaz. It was a grisly discovery in a Hollywood tow yard, but we still don't know how the girl died.
However, it was enough to force singer David to cancel the rest of his U.S. tour. Fox 11's Gina Silva is digging into the mysterious connection between the two. Gina.
You know, this is such a disturbing case, and it has garnered worldwide attention. The question is, what happened to Celeste Rivas? A teacher of the late teen girl apparently saw warning signs before tragedy struck.
That's her in my classroom in front of...
A teacher is captured on cell phone video telling his students that Celeste Rivas, the 15-year-old girl found dead inside singer David Anthony Burke's Tesla, had been his student and that he knew she had run away a couple of times.
So when I taught her, she met this dude on social media. He was a rapper in LA.
TMZ was the first to report on the teacher's comments.
There's certainly photo and video evidence that she was most likely with David. They were hanging out together. It's unclear if this was a romantic relationship.
Rivas' teacher put out a video, and it may be the smoking gun in the case.
Nima Rahmani, president of West Coast Trial Lawyers, says the teacher's claims are damaging because Celeste was only 13 when she first went missing in April 2024. If investigators confirm she ran away with David at that time, he would have been 18.
The mere fact that an 18-year-old is in the presence of a 13-year-old who had run away is not unlawful. But if there's any sexual activity, if there is any force or coercion, that could be kidnapping, that could be rape, that could be trafficking. That's the exposure that David has, setting aside the fact that she's now been found dead.
One day after the medical examiner identified the remains in the Tesla as those of 15-year-old Celeste Rivas, LAPD investigators served a search warrant at David's home in the Hollywood Hills on Wednesday night, seizing electronics and computers. Ironically, David first broke into the music scene in 2022. Romantic Homicide went viral on TikTok. Social media users are now pointing to his music videos, noting that they feature a woman resembling Celeste. There's also one scene showing a body being placed in a trunk.
In terms of incriminating evidence, at this point, it is not clear he did anything wrong. It is his car, this victim, this decedent, and he obviously knew each other. They had matching tattoos, but I have not seen anything reported in the media that he was responsible or is responsible for her tragic death.
Former prosecutor, now criminal defense attorney Dimitri Gorin, says while the court of public opinion may already believe David was involved in Celeste's death, proving it in court will be far more difficult.
A plausible reason of what happened possibly is that she had access to his car, he travels the world, and somebody, one of her friends, somebody else, harmed her and put her in the car.
David was supposed to perform at the Greek Theater tomorrow night, but his world tour has been canceled. Authorities say he has been cooperative and very helpful throughout the investigation. Christine, Laura?